the thought process was that he was going back to Dallas with the Mavericks when they left New York.
Wow.
That's how sure he was being traded. And his agent and everything had let him know for weeks they're going to trade you. And then trade deadline came and they didn't trade him.
Gets it off in time. And he's got it, baby! Big time Nets win!
The only Net fans you know? The only Nets fans you know? Man. I mean, come on, man. Or are these guys?
Welcome back to the Only Net Fans You Know podcast. I'm Peter. Welcome to episode number 87. If you're on Nets Twitter, you know this man. Season ticket holder, janitor of the Barclays Center. Welcome back to the show, I should say. JFromBK. What's going on, bro?
What's up? What's up, everybody?
Of course, there hasn't been a lot of Twitter spaces, so I'm just going to start this off very frank. What are your thoughts on the offseason? A lot has happened since last season.
Incomplete. I would say it's incomplete for me because there's still too many vets on the team. Like Jordy Fernandez, from my understanding, didn't sign up for a tank, but we're here now. And if you're gonna tank, like why are there still so many vets on the team? Who, if we're gonna be honest, the vets are better than the young guys. So you can't. I know the argument for a lot of Nets fans are Clowney has to play, Jalen Wilson has to play. Right now, you can't necessarily make an argument that Clowney is better than Dodo. You can't make an argument that Jalen Wilson is better than Cam Johnson. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of, do you still want to make it appear that you're trying to win games, right? Bogey is on the team. Schroeder is on the team. And it's like, come on, man. It's too many vets who really should be rotation players because they would probably be rotation players on other teams also. Unless you're going to be honest about it being a tank and just tell them, no, just go sit over there or come up with a fake injury and then we'll just sit you down. And they putting out reports that Ben is looking better than he's ever looked before. And it's like, okay, so what are we doing? Do we have a contending team to, like, at the very least? No, I mean, like, contending, but I mean, do we have a team that will fight for the play-in, or are we tanking? That's why this offseason is, it's like, yo, if you're gonna embrace the tank and trade off these veterans who you know are going to help your team. Because Schroeder's gonna go out there and play hard. Dodo's gonna go out there and play hard. Scam Johnson, I don't know what he's gonna do, but if he's healthy, maybe he'll go out there and give you something. Bogey, when Bogey's in the game, Bogey's always trying to shoot, score, do things of that nature. Ben, I will say, when Ben is in the game, he gives you effort. Like, you may not like some of the things of him not looking at the basket, but he does give effort, and he's out there playing hard to the best of his ability. So, I mean, if those guys are out there and taking up rotation spots, that's why I'm like, I don't know about this offseason because you didn't get rid of enough veterans.
I've heard that Boggs is going to eventually he's going to be bought out eventually. I still think he's hurt. There was a report that came out this week that there was this whole thing with Petrovic being honored in Europe at some EuroLeague thing. And supposedly, I think maybe it was Zach Lowe said that he's still hurt.
The bench is going to be a little rough. Bojan Bogdanovic is hurt.
So I don't think we're going to see much of him at all. But you have a point with Cam Johnson and Dodo especially. Nets fans could be unhappy with the way that he shot the ball last year at times. But the dude was one of the only guys hustling every single game.
In theory, I would agree with you. Where I strongly disagree with you is Scam Johnson is being paid more than to be given kudos for hustle. He's the second highest paid player on the team. Well, no, now third because they paid Clax. Or no, he may still be the second. But he's one of the highest paid guys on the team. He should be out there having career highs, and he's not.
Was he hurt though last year, Jay?
He's been hurt every season of his career. Is this season he's going to be healthy for the first time in his career for the whole season? Because he hasn't played a full season yet.
Marks wants to get the most value out of them as possible. I don't think it's a secret. I think anyone who's followed the team at least for the last year, would know that. Would it be just beneficial to just get them off the team? I'm with the thinking with that. I don't want to give them away, but when I look at the new CBA, when I look at like CJ especially, man, that contract does not look good. It's not gotten any better, even though the numbers going down, cap numbers going down, doesn't look any better. I'm going to go on a little hot take here. I would not be shocked if we had to pay to get rid of him. Like actually had to give up a protected first rounder at some point just to get off the contract if he's hurt or if he doesn't produce. What do you think about that?
I would say with respect to the Nets general manager holding out for the best deal, it's like a car, man. Once you drive that car off the lot, the value has depreciated greatly. The best deal that you could have gotten for Dodo, from my understanding, was when we traded for him and 2 first-round picks were on the table. They're not giving you that anymore. So you can't get the best deal. You already have a depreciated valued contract and player. This idea of holding on for the best contract, for the best trade, even with trading Scam Johnson, who's really going to give? Is anybody going to give multiple first round picks? I doubt it. Do I think that you're going to have to take a way less like value trade than you would? I would not disagree with that. My thing, and this is with the idea of trading him, this is with trading McCone, this is with trading the big three. None of these trades have gotten you back a young point guard. Trade for a young point guard, please. Unless all of your eggs in the basket of getting one in next year's draft. But the idea of holding on to these guys for best value, I think that value gets worse as you get closer to the trade deadline and then next summer. If you can get fair market value right now, go for it. You're tanking. And I'm not even. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, would you take below market value just to get them off the roster before training camp starts?
It depends on what below market value is. If you told me that we could get a young point guard and a first round pick, and I'm not talking about 2025, but a 2026, 2027 first round pick, I would take it immediately.
Dorian Finney-Smith, he has a player option next year for $15 million. Man, this new CBA, I've talked about this a lot because I feel very strongly about this. The new CBA is a motherfucker. If you're someone who's going to be like a third or fourth option, man, the money looks like it's just dried up. I think Dorian Finney-Smith picks up his player option. Yes, he's a wing. 3-and-Ds are always going to be, valuable and whatnot. But does he pick up that option if you're him?
I think his agent would do his due diligence, because next summer it appears that most of the big name free agents are not going to be free agents. So whatever teams have money would be able to offer it to him. I think it would be more beneficial to him and his agent to see what teams would want to sign him, because even if it's for like the full mid-level exception, which right now is 12 point something million. Now I know people would argue and say, but if he's making 15, why would he do 12? Because if you're ripping up the 15 and guaranteeing yourself 35, 40 for the next 3 years, especially since he's in his 30s now, like you sacrifice a little bit the first year, but you guarantee yourself that you're not going to be a minimum player like a lot of guys are having to take, like you're saying, Tyus Jones, on a contract that you don't have to. But your agent should have all of that stuff worked out before you declined the option. And I know the NBA doesn't like to be honest about that, but a lot of agents do that. They make sure they have deals already worked out, and then the guy declines the option, and he takes the deal where he gets more money.
That's fair. And I would make an argument also. If I'm Dorian Finney-Smith, right? Do you want to take $15 million to be on the Nets or $10 million to be on a contending team? I would feel like I'd rather take the 10 to 12 million and be on a contending team where I know I'm going to be playing, right?
Absolutely. But for him, I would expect that it's not necessarily just being on the Nets. The Nets have been holding him hostage, man. In trade deadline last year, weeks before the trade deadline, they passed him around like a Kardashian sister, man. And he should have been traded. Like, quit holding him hostage. Trade him. Like, trade him, man. Come on. Dodo doesn't deserve this. Trade him.
I know he wanted to go to Dallas last year, and we both of us were at this game. That Kyrie Irving came back. The Mavericks were in town. You saw him hanging out with the Dallas players. Obviously, guys have friends on teams and whatnot. But I don't know. I just felt like there was a sense of maybe he thought there was something there. There were reports that Dallas was interested. Maybe there was something there. I don't know. That's just my inferencing. I sat behind the Nets bench that game. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm just a fan, but that's my thought on that.
I'll say this. He lives in Dallas. I mean, his children are being raised in Dallas. So, I mean, come on, man. The thought process was that he was, because they played us, I think it was Monday, and then they played the Icks. I think they played the Icks on Wednesday or Thursday at the Garden. The thought process was that he was going back to Dallas with the Mavericks when they left New York.
Wow.
That's how sure he was being traded. And his agent and everything had let him know for weeks they're going to trade you. And then trade deadline came and they didn't trade him.
Also, remember the injury? The injury?
Yeah. They said he was injured. And he did not play the few games before the trade deadline. And then miraculously, the very next game after the trade deadline, no injury report, anything, not probable, anything, completely off the injury report. It was nasty. It was nasty the way the Nets did that, man. Like, come on, man. And I'm surprised the NBA didn't find him, because that was obvious that you were holding him out because you planned on trading him until you didn't.
But wouldn't you want, if you're him, wouldn't you, like, if you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, I'm sure Jerry remembers, he almost got, I think there was like an injury scare right before that game that he started getting sit out. And I remember, man, this guy's going to get hurt and we're supposed to trade him. So if you're Dorian Finney-Smith, wouldn't you want to be healthy for Dallas, though? Or is he unhappy that he's not playing?
No, he wanted to be traded.
No, I'm saying, would you want to be playing for the Nets those games before being traded to Dallas? I think I would want to sit out, because I'm saying, man,
no. Well, yeah. I agree with that, but he should have already been traded. It's like the Nets general manager holding on to Spencer Dinwiddie for months after he told me he was going to be traded. It's like quit talking about by the trade deadline you're going to up the value, and no, you're not. You're going to get the value that's already there. Dennis Schroeder had won out his welcome in Toronto. They were looking to get rid of him. Surprise. Both teams made a trade of players that they wanted to get rid of. And who else did we get from Toronto? Like, Schroeder was all right for us, but it wasn't a win. So quit holding these players. Go ahead and trade them.
I think you make a good point.
I think Dodo will be fine. I think he'll be fine. And I would rip up the $15 million option, because then if you, I'm going back to your question, I would rip the $15 million option up, because then you're another year older going into free agency. And if you're able to get a 3-year deal, which, how old is Dodo now? I think he's 31. I think
something like that.
So I'm saying that a 3-year deal would bring him to at least 35, right? I would think that he would take that rather than saying 15 million and then banking on the following year cashing out. Nah, man, it's that would be a maybe. If you have guaranteed 35, 40 million on the table, take that. Especially if it's a team in a tax-free state. If it's one of the Florida teams, if it's one of the Texas teams, if it's the Suns, take that money.
Anything else on Dodo and CJ before we move on to the next topic?
Nah.
Okay. So media day's coming up.
Oh no. Yeah. Let me add one more thing. It's funny. Just the nickname Dodo. One thing that I always find funny is that a lot of basketball fans have nicknames for players, myself included, and they end up calling people nicknames that's not even their nickname. Dodo being one of them. Like, I thought his nickname was Doe. And I said a while ago to a Nets player something about Doe, and they were like, "Who?" and I said Dorian Finney-Smith, and he was like, "Oh, Dodo." I said, "Oh, okay." So a lot of times fans get caught up calling people nicknames that are not their nickname. Like, his nickname is not Doe; they call him Dodo. It's like when LaMarcus Aldridge was on the Nets, and a lot of fans, myself included, at first, love to call him LMA, right? That was never his nickname. That's why a lot of people would put LMA. I would like comment booed up, like they were saying LMA the singer. His nickname is LA, and that's what everybody calls him, LA. Nobody calls him LMA. But Nets fans swore that was his nickname, so they kept calling him that. Nah, man, sometimes people have nicknames that, you know, they won't even answer to you because they like, nah, that's not my nickname.
That's interesting. I think the LMA thing was more of like an abbreviation.
Yeah.
And then people just ran with it, right?
Yep.
That's kind of funny. All right. We have media day coming up in a couple days. Training camp, they're gonna go out to San Diego. They're gonna play the Clippers out for a game. But a lot of the team has already started working out. Some of it has been reported, some of it hasn't been reported. Anything you hear out of the early couple days of pre-training camp, Camp Jordy?
They don't ever report this, but guys have reported because they're told they have to report. They cannot just show up for training camp. These guys are told when to report. So people be like, it's team camaraderie. No, it's not. The general manager tells the rookies, yo, you're supposed to be here now. Which is why a few summers ago, rookies are literally every day in the offseason, pretty much. No, they tell them when to report. And then they report. And then they got all these pictures, and they don't put out 99% of the pictures and stuff and videos that they take. But the guys are there. They don't come to Liberty games for the most part, but they are in Brooklyn.
I'm so happy you brought up the whole like not showing 99% of stuff that goes on. Whole Ben Simmons thing. You know, Brickley, I know, is a trusted name with players. He worked for the Knicks. He was started off as Melo's guy, I believe. And then he's kind of worked his way as being known as like I don't want to say super trainer, but he gets along well with everybody. A lot of the bigger players work out with him, working out with Ben Simmons. And he says he's, quote unquote, playing better, moving better than he did during his All-Star years, which was about, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. What's your stock into that? Is that some bullshit?
I'm shocked that Brinkley would say what he said, but at the same time, I'm not shocked because people lie all the time, and when you call them out on their lies, it's like, oh well. There's no honor in what you say anymore, literally none. It's like you can say something, be wrong, and they just shrug it off like, oh, okay, I was wrong. The idea that he said that he's playing, that he looks the best that he's looked, even when he was a 3-time All-Star, he believes that at all. Like, stop. It's not true at all. No, I'm not going to believe that. After 3 back surgeries, and I don't care if the new one that he had was something that's never been done before. That's wonderful. You tell me that this guy is better than he was when he was a 3-time All-Star? Nah. Nope. You're not gonna fool me. And I root for Ben to do extremely well. And a lot of people argue with me about that. Yo, Ben has been great to my kids, yo. He's been great to my children. And I root for him to do well. He's been injured, though. So the idea that just now after this back surgery, he's going to be better than he's ever been. What Chris Brinkley is saying is that the Nets are going to be at the worst a play-in team. At worst a play-in team. Because if Ben is better than he's ever been,
he's the perfect point guard next to Cam Thomas. Period. If he's better than he's ever been, those jump shots that you've seen him shooting in practice, he's going to be taking those and making those in the game. He's going to be locking up the best player on the other team defensively. That's what Chris Brinkley has said, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And if he isn't, then Chris Brinkley has lied. But even if he has lied, we live in a day and age that it's so what? I was wrong. It doesn't mean anything. If you decide to take Chris Brinkley at his word, that's on you. I'm not. I would like for Ben to be healthy and see what you got from him. But I'm not expecting Ben to go out there and be out on the floor 35 minutes, a dominant two-way player that he's been before. No, I'm definitely not expecting that. And I'm not expecting him to be better than he was at any point in his career. Nah, no. I think that's unrealistic. And why even put that on him? How about we'll see how good he's going to be. He's looking good, but we don't know how he's going to be long term and when the season starts. Let's just give him time.
Do you think the Nets were shocked by that comment?
I don't think they care.
That's fair. That's fair. I would be a little surprised. And I think when Ben does play, and yes, there's a whole lot of him, being scared, quote unquote, of like, putting up layups and going in for a dunk and all that. But I feel like he does do things that contribute to winning basketball. Like the Nets did play better when he was on the court. And a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. I think it's kind of lame. But the dude, he does contribute in his way. It may not be the way that you want him to contribute. You want him to score 20. The dude is not going to do that. But he is going to rebound. He is going to pass well. He is going to push the ball up the court. You know what I mean? That's how he can affect the game. I don't think we're going to be seeing All-Star Ben or anything like that. Would you be shocked if he played more than 50 games for them? I think I would be, personally.
Completely shocked.
I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it.
But then again, in what capacity? Are we expecting him to be a starter? Or are they bringing him off the bench and working him in slowly? Because if you tell me that he was going to come off the bench and play 10 minutes a game, then I would say, yeah, I can see him playing 50. If you tell me that he's supposed to be a starter, play starters minutes, then I see absolutely no chance on that happening.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I feel like the team is kind of centered around I call it now the 3 C's: Claxton, Clowney, and Cam Thomas. The 3 C's. What do you want to look out for them to be like? You know what? We're probably not gonna win. What would be a good season for them? What does that look like to JFromBK?
A good season.
Yeah, what would you be happy with? You say, you know what? They got better this way. Stats went up, performance went up, or whatever. You know what I mean? Clowney gets playing time, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of open-ended question. You can take it wherever you want to take it.
I think a good season for just the 3 or everybody?
Just the 3, just those 3 in particular.
I'll start out with Clax because I think he should take the biggest jump. A good season for him is and I really wonder about this for Jordy, is he going to let Clax play the Sabonis role?
That's the question.
Because there are a number of teams who allow their big man to handle the ball. Sacramento being one of them. Of course, Denver, Miami lets Bam do it. Embiid be out there hunting fouls, but but there are teams who sometimes AD does it also. There are teams that let their big man handle the ball. Are they going to allow Clax to do that? Because if they do, I think that opens up his game tremendously. Also, if they allow him to shoot. So I think that would be a positive for him. Cam, I would like to see how they plan on using Cam. Because at no point in his young NBA career has he come into the season as someone who they planned on using. He forced that out of them last year.
That's horrible.
I mean, the coach at the end of the preseason said, well, this week before the season begins, we're gonna now put in plays for McCone. And a bunch of us were like, what? You didn't do that in the preseason? You're now gonna do that this week? And he gave you no understanding of Cam even playing or what role Cam was going to have. They had no role for him. I would like to see, and I would hope that for the last not 6 months, but almost 6 months, that they're able to develop a way to maximize Cam's talent on offense and hold him accountable to where he plays a solid level of defense. I think that would be great for him and allow him to be that true number one option. If he is, then I think Cam is no less than a 25, probably 27-point scorer, which wins or losses, I hope for more losses, but I'm going to say this is going to be a positive for Cam. If he doesn't have a head coach who's talking crazy about him after games and saying, I know he scored such and such points, but we lost those games. He don't need that.
Let me interrupt you right here. I got to interrupt you because I'm so happy you brought that up. Nets Daily, Bob went on the Brooklyn pod, Pooch's pod, Colin Helwig's pod, and he mentioned that Joe Tsai is a big Cam Thomas fan and was not happy when that old coach happened to make that comment. What do you think about? Is that a real thing? Is that something that you've heard, that he's a big fan of CT?
I would be very careful in the context that a lot of these things are stated in, because as much as Joe Tsai has been blamed for where he's butted his head in things, a lot of things he's very hands off. For example, I know for a fact he did not like Joe Harris's contract. I know for a fact he didn't like Joe Harris's contract, but paid him anyway. So that idea of him being a big fan of Cam Thomas, okay. I don't know what that means, because if you were a big fan of his, the coach before Jean, he hated Cam too. You weren't making him play then. I mean, so it can't be that. It can't be that. Or were you always a fan of him? Because saying that he's a big fan of him, okay, if that's the case, when the window opens up to give Cam that extension, and the window actually may already be open, show us how big of a fan of his you are with your wallet. Otherwise, your words don't mean anything. Show him with your wallet that you're a big fan of his. You a big fan? Max him out before the season starts.
How much do you think he gets? Obviously, the season coming up is going to be a big teller of that. So I'm kind of putting you in a tough spot. But if he has a good season like we just talked about, what are the numbers looking like in your head, you think?
I think he should get more than Emmanuel quickly got.
Over 162, 32 mil a year. You think he could get 30? You think he's going to get 30 million a year? That's a lot, Jay.
But who are you giving money to? Because next summer, Ben's money comes off the books. Schroeder's money comes off the books. So that's already, between the two of them, I think that's over 50 million coming off the books. Dodo has an option. That's over 60 million. Isn't Bogey a free agent also?
Yeah.
And isn't Bogey making at least 20? So we talking about 80 million coming off the books.
Yep.
He's 19? Yeah. So we still around 80 million coming off the books, at least. Who are you giving this money to?
You can make an argument if you're not sold on CT, if you're someone in the front office who's not a fan, and say, you know what, we can get a couple more first rounders taking on bad contracts. That I could see that happening. I don't think it's that crazy. The fans would not like it, but if I'm the front office, I don't care what the fans think.
I don't necessarily disagree with that from the standpoint of, I think the top two in the 2026 draft are better than whoever the top two are in the 2025 draft, I don't think that should have any bearing on you paying Cam Thomas. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if the Nets want to play with fire, and I don't remember the last person to do this, if they don't give him a bag coming up within the next month, okay. If they decide to wait and then next summer they're like, well, we're going to tender you the contract, right?
Yeah.
I would hope that, but no, done a long time. And he signs the offer sheet, which makes him an unrestricted free agent in 2026. And basically tells the Nets, y'all can kiss my ass. I'm leaving. Y'all better trade me because I'm leaving next summer. And I'll sign with whoever I want to. Now, no one that I can think of has done that in years. But it's been done by a few people before. And sometimes you just got to call a team's bluff. Like a lot of Nets fans have talked about giving him less money than Scam Johnson. How?
No, I don't see that.
I've heard, Pete, I don't know if I heard it. Wait, did Sam say it the other day? Something about giving him around 14, 15 million? Why in the world would Cam take that money? Why? You tell me you're paying, and I know it's a completely different team, but you tell me Emmanuel Quickly getting over 30 million and Cam is going to accept less than half of that? Come on now.
I'll tell you why he thinks that. He thinks that because he thinks he's a chucker and he thinks that he doesn't pass. He read off a stat on the last episode. I had Sam Quinn of CBS Sports on. He wound up saying a couple of things about Cam Thomas, that he should make around 15 million. I asked the same question. What do you think he's going to get? He said around 15 million. Said pretty much saying, I don't want to go too much into what he said. You guys can watch the episode. But he read off a stat saying he played more minutes than passes made. That's a stat that apparently is very rare or something. I wouldn't know myself, but basically he made it sound like he's on the high volume score because the team has nobody else. Basically.
Yeah, but that would be a truthful statement if it was this season where we don't necessarily have anybody else. He wasn't the number one option last season. So if you also have to look at who he's playing with. Who's he supposed to pass the ball to?
That's exactly what I said.
Game.
Yeah.
Like when you playing with other capable scorers. I mean, come on. But hey, he's put up stats that some stats no one has ever put up in the history of the NBA. I think that if they don't give him the money that he deserves, and I strongly doubt it, in this next month, that he can cash out next summer or not. And the unfortunately, the Nets may be in the business of, like all NBA teams do, they just max to max and then trade the guy the next summer. Like what happened with DeAndre Ayton. Dominating, wanted to leave Phoenix, signed with Indiana. They matched to match. And then they traded him the next summer.
They don't want to lose the asset.
Right. But you don't get the value that you could have gotten if you knew it was going to come down to that. And a lot of these guys agents have conversations with the general managers continuously. You know what it's going to be, and you know it's not a surprise when it gets there. If you decide to play with fire and try to call somebody's bluff, everybody is not willing to play that game.
Going back to my original question, I think we have to go over Clowney quickly. What do you think about what would be like a good season for him?
A good season for Clowney would allowing him to become a rotation player. Whatever he gives you after that, I would be happy with. And I say that because not including COVID year, no rookie has played in his second year as a rotation player since, I think, Jared Allen. So
That's
the
interesting.
Nets under this general manager have not wanted to play rookies or second-year players. So him becoming a rotation player, hopefully, I would say if he gave you 8 and 6, I think that would be a successful season for him. And with the way that the team is structured right now, you cannot convince me that he would be starting or even that high level rotation, because the Nets would quite conceivably Jalen Wilson ahead of him, Dodo ahead of him, Bogey ahead of him, Scam Johnson ahead of him. At least those 4. And then they're saying Zaire Williams is looking good. What position are they going to play him at? Day-Day, how are they going to use him? Are you going to use him with Clax? Are you going to use him as Clax's replacement? Are they using Ben as a point guard, or do they slide him over to like the Buffalo when Schroeder in the game? All of these things factor in. So I'm not of the belief that Clowney, maybe he'll play his way into that, but I don't know.
So I really love that you brought up Zaire Williams, because supposedly he's looking very good. That's nice to hear. I usually don't put a lot of stock into guys looking very good in training camp or before training camp. But it kind of brings to me a list of guys that people aren't really talking about that I still think could either contribute or are kind of just forgotten because they were added in as part of like other trades. Like Day'Ron, I'm a huge Day'Ron Sharp fan. I'm wondering, where does he fit on this roster? We haven't talked about him. I feel like nobody's talked about him. He was starting to shoot the 3 a little bit towards the end of last year. I thought it looked good. We just mentioned Zaire. Shake Milton was thrown into the Mikal Bridges deal. I think he's only making like $2 or $3 million this year and next year. So I think nobody's talking about him. But technically, if you wanted to keep down your cap number, he's a great guy to keep on the roster.
With respect to the guys that you named, I really would like to see what Jordi Fernandez's plan is as a coach, how he's going to play. Is he going to play big? Is he going to play small? Zaire Williams, I think he has a major ceiling. And I would, because they're saying he's another one of these guys who are in that can get an extension, I would extend him before I extended Cam. Not saying that he deserves it, but I think you can get him at a very low number right now because he's underachieved in his career up until now. An attempt to get him at a reasonable number that's really lower than the mid-level exception for at least the next 3-4 years, if he's willing to sign that. Because I think I think as we were just talking about, I think Cam's worth a lot of money. Zaire Williams, if he's really what you're, and I'm not saying you, if he's really what they're saying that he is, I think you need to give him money around 7-8 million for 4 years is an easily tradable contract. If he works out, great. If he doesn't, that's no harm, no foul type money. And I think his ceiling is high, though. Shake Milton, here's the problem I have. The Nets have, I think they've invited at least 6 point guards to training camp. I'm almost positive. Shake Milton being 1, Keon Johnson, that's 2, Schroeder, Ben,
Killian Hayes,
Amari Bailey, Killian Hayes. That's at least 6. And I may be missing somebody.
Yeah.
How do you have that many point guards? And none of them are shooting well. Chris Haynes just put out something. Did you see it?
No, what is it?
As I'm talking, Chris Haynes just posted something about Ben Simmons.
Uh-oh. My camera just went out for a second.
No,
I went to jump at my phone.
No, it says that he's starting training camp with no restrictions on October 1st.
Okay.
That's what Chris Haynes just said that. So it's funny. We talking about Nets point guards, and Chris Haynes was that immediate, like, right when we're doing this. I don't know that Shake Milton is going to be given that opportunity to play like that unless they plan on playing multiple point guards together.
He's a shooting guard, though, no?
Who?
He plays shooting guard.
Shake Milton is a shooting guard in a point guard's body. So if you want to run two short guys out there at the same time, I don't know what it's gonna look like. But look, man, I would like to see Shake Milton's not really a younger guy. I would like to see the younger guys be given an opportunity to play and develop. From what I've seen with Killian Hayes, he should not make the team. Like he shouldn't. Maybe he will surprise and he will make the team. That'll be a beautiful thing. I'm going to tell you somebody that you did not name who I have been extremely high on. Because at one point in time when he was in high school, he was the #1 player in the country. That's Amari Bailey. Do I think he's going to make the team? I highly doubt it. But I don't think he's been in the league long enough that he can't get one of the two-way spots.
Did they sign him to a two-way spot? Didn't they just sign him to a two-way spot, or am I wrong?
Nah, I think they signed him to an Exhibit 10 training camp contract.
Oh yeah, I'd wrap him up with a two-way immediately.
But it goes to whoever is whatever guys they have. Just make sure it's a solid competition.
What do you think about the draft class? If the Nets wind up getting a top 3 pick, who are you looking at?
You have to come away with one of, and a lot of Nets fans love VJ Edgecombe. I would like to see how tall. I would like to see how tall VJ Edgecombe is in barefoot, because if he's 6'3" and some change, we already have Cam Thomas, who's a short shooting guard. No thanks.
But don't you take talent? But don't you take talent over height though?
Nope.
Like if he's the best player, if you don't feel like if he's the best player, you take the dude.
Nope.
That's MJ. That's MJ. What do you call it? That's like the whole MJ draft all over again.
Nah, it's not.
Because you got Clyde Drexler. You don't take MJ.
But Clyde Drexler's a Hall of Famer. So you really weren't going wrong either way. And Clyde Drexler serves me correct. My thing is a top 3 pick. Cooper Flagg by far is the #1. Number 2 for me would be Dylan Harper. The Nets need a point guard, man. Like they need a point guard, someone in the point guard position who's young and who you can hopefully count on for the next 10 to 15 years in that position, 10 years in that position at a high level. Dylan Harper fits that. That doesn't mean that I don't think Ace Bailey would be a great pick. I do. I think those top 3, and the 4th guy for me would be Nolan. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Who's another point guard. And I was saying this to somebody earlier today. If you told me we took Ace Bailey, right, I would be ecstatic that we took Ace Bailey because I think he's a game changer. I'm hoping that we get the #1 pick and take Cooper Flagg. But whatever we do with one of those other first-round picks of point guards who may be available, because people are saying the picks will be in the 20s, maybe the low 20s, maybe the high 20s. Someone who will be available around that is a kid who's actually from New York City called Boogie Fland. And my sons do their summer workouts with one of his coaches. Boogie Fland is a guy who point guard who I hope the Nets get him. Because the way he was explaining to me, he does everything efficient. He ain't out there trying to make your team lose. He plays winning basketball with the way he plays basketball. So if we get Ace Bailey or we get Cooper Flagg, my thing is, who are we getting with the other picks? Because there are a lot of other guys who this draft coming up is going to have guys fall out of the lottery who are lottery picks in damn near every other draft.
Really?
Yeah. This draft is extremely deep. Extremely deep.
You know, more picks or a higher pick? What would you rather have?
I would rather have more picks. And the reason why I say I would rather have more picks, because I'm under the understanding that when you also traded to get your 26 pick back, that you planned on being terrible for 2 seasons. So take young guys. You don't double down. You don't double up and move up to get one guy when you can get two guys who quite possibly were lottery talents who fell out of the lottery. For example, Cam Thomas was picked 27, right? Cam Thomas was a lottery talent. And the reason why I know he was a lottery talent is because he was invited to the green room. They invite the 14 best players to the green room. So in the Cam Thomas draft, he was the last person sitting there in the arena because he was a lottery talent. And we got him at 27. So no, I would not trade 2 picks to get in the teams. You told me two mid-20 picks to get to up to like number 10? Okay, yeah. We talking now. We talking.
Mm-hmm.
Because what if the kid from Duke, what if he fell to 10? Okay. I like that. Let's do that. Otherwise, I'm not trading 2 mid-20s to get to the late teens. No.
Okay. So a lot of all these gambling sites and whatnot, they said 19.5 wins over under. What do you think?
I think because we have so many veterans now that we're going to be over.
But you know what? I think you're right. But I'm going to go off the thought of this. Somebody's going to get hurt. If a Cam Thomas gets hurt, I see I see some rough stretches if they do wind up trading all the vets. No CT and the vets out.
I would, because unfortunately, he's literally the only. Excuse me. He's one of 2 only proven scorers on the team. The other one being Bogey, and he's already hurt. So, well, you're saying that you saw that they're saying he's hurt. So I don't know when Bogey's going to come back.
Yeah.
Other than Cam, we have nobody else who's been a 20-point or close to a 20-point scorer in the NBA. But I think, in this NBA, you can catch teams slipping. Some teams are not interested. Winning less than 19 games, you have to be like one of the worst. Like one of the worst. And I think we have too much talent right now. I would hope we only win 17 games, but I think we'll probably win about 25.
So what do you think about the new Claus jersey that came out? A lot of people are not feeling it. I didn't feel the Claus jersey last year. I don't know if I got to see it on the court before I say anything. But so far, I don't know.
These Claus jerseys are getting worse by the season. Like I forgot where that Claus guy is from, but I'm pretty sure I read it that he's not from Brooklyn.
Yeah, he lives in Jersey, but I think he's from Brooklyn.
Really? I didn't think I saw that.
I could be wrong.
Maybe he is. I wish they would do more of an ode to one of the older Nets jerseys from New Jersey.
Me too.
Like, can we go that route? And I'm gonna say something that it's funny that he said this, that Sam said on the last pod when you were asking him about his favorite jerseys.
Yeah.
And he mentioned the Hawks jersey and the Bucks jersey. I was laughing because I have a Hawks jersey and a Bucks jersey that he's talking about. And before he even said that, when you said not necessarily just Nets jerseys, those were the first jerseys I thought of. Because they were so creative when they did it at that time. The Nets have some older jerseys that are dope, man. Why they keep trying to come up with this other stuff? It's like, I know other teams have whack jerseys that they have also, but these Claus jerseys are not doing it. They're not doing it. And I don't know who they're marketing to. You would get a lot more people to buy if you even incorporated the New Jersey idea and put Brooklyn on the front of it.
Yes.
People would still love that.
I buy that. I would.
A lot of people would buy it. And I'm not talking about have a similar idea. I'm talking about the exact same jersey. Just change it from New Jersey to the word Brooklyn. That's it. people will go crazy over that. But nah, these
Absolutely.
new cause jerseys, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, this is the last. They signed a 2-year deal. A lot of people didn't notice this. They signed a 2-year deal before last season, so this is hopefully the last of them. You know, I might have heard through the grapevine that we might be getting a new jersey. You know what I mean? Just a little, a little thing to keep in mind. All right, Jay.
Nice.
Any plugs you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I have been in a few conversations with people. I'm going to be officially launching a YouTube channel.
Let's go.
Soon. I've talked to a lot of people this summer. Some friends, some people who are not friends. You know pretty much everybody. Nah, some of the people you don't know are like Tyron Stokes. You would know him like if you know high school basketball, you would know Tyron Stokes. Like I talked to him and some other anybody who doesn't know Tyron Stokes, he's the #1 ranked high school player in the class of 2026. Tyron Stokes is a monster. Like him and Baba, I forgot Baba's last name. He's ranked #1 in the class of 2027. Like I talked to some high school, kids, but some pros also, WNBA players. But I'm going to like do little clips, maybe some interviews of people that I've spoken to. I posted one on IG page that I have for my sons of Skylar Diggins Smith talking to my goddaughter. I'm gonna watermark it and post it on Twitter sometime soon. But by next month, I'm going to have it started up, and I know that because somebody who I talk to a lot, who Nets fans are very familiar with, he said something about the Nets in this upcoming season and Cam Thomas. So I'm going to post that, and that'll be probably the lead off. So that'll come out in October.
Let's go, bro. Yeah, make sure you check that out. Do you have a name yet, or like a name for the page?
I do, but I don't want to say it yet.
You don't release it, okay? No doubt. All right, guys, you can follow me at NetFans, on Twitter, on YouTube. Check out my writing for Off the Ball Network. Have a great day. Have a great night. And let's go Nets.